Welcome to you all. Grüß an alle meine Freunde in Berlin. My name is Benjamin Ferencz. I am now in my 96th year, and I am the sole surviving Nuremberg war crimes prosecutor. I want to thank Ulrich Baumann for the invitation to give you some remarks on the opening of your exhibition in Berlin. I first was in Berlin looking for Adolf Hitler. I was in the American Army, a war crimes investigator. I had been looking for him in Berchtesgaden, in the Eagle's Nest, which had been completely bombed out by the 101st Airborne Division. So there was nothing there of any evidentiary value. I was on assignment from General Patton's headquarters to gather evidence of war crimes. I then proceeded to Berlin. That was my first time in my life in Berlin. Total chaos, of course. The bunker in which Hitler had lived was still open. I went down into the bunker outside the Reichskanzlei, and there was nothing there. It all had been cleaned out. I had another interesting introduction when I came back to Germany after I got out of the army, and then I was assigned as an investigator to find the evidence for the trials which were being planned for the 12 subsequent proceedings after the International Military Tribunal trial led by Justice Jackson was over. The chief of counsel there was Telford Taylor. He hired me in Washington in the Pentagon, and he said, "Ben, you know all about investigations. You go find the evidence to bring to us for the suspects we are holding or should be holding in custody." I proceeded to Berlin. I had a staff of about, 50 people, Germans, paid for by the German Arbeitsamt. But since money was worthless, the Reichsmark was worthless, the real pay was a pack of cigarettes was very good pay, a bar of soap was very good pay, and a pound of coffee was really heaven. And we set that up in what was called the Berlin Document Center. There was a little house in Dahlem in the woods. It looked like a little cottage. But when you went in and you dug down, there was subterranean blocks of files of the entire Nazi Party, every piece of correspondence, everybody had been promoted. And we captured that. And I set up the staff there to go through and collect the evidence from those files in the Berlin Document Center. Eventually, the files were copied by the U.S. National Archives. Another close connection to Berlin has been in Judge Kaul, Hans-Peter Kaul, who was the German representative at the United Nations, dealing with problems of defining aggression and preventing war, and became a judge on the International Criminal Court. He was really a dear friend and a strong champion of all the things that I was working for at the United Nations for a more peaceful world. Of course, I have seen the exhibits in Berlin of the monuments, memorials to the Jews, but the most important item is really the Wannsee Protocol, which exists in the Wannsee. On the Wannsee, they have the Villa Wannsee there, and the protocol was set out. I haven't been there for many years. I hope it's still there. Every page of the top Nazis dealing with the topic Endlösung der Judenfrage, final solution of the Jewish question. And what they did was they set out, how do you kill 12 million Jews? And they had them listed how many were in each country, and how you had to build first railroad tracks and send them to a place where they wouldn't be so noticeable, like in Poland, remote areas, and how they were to be killed, by what techniques, how long it would take, and how difficult it would be, etc. And that exhibit was then put up later. We used it, of course, at the Nuremberg trials. That exhibit then, we gave it back to the Germans, was in the Wannsee, where the conference had actually taken place, and there were photographs of all the members of the Wannsee people who were at the meeting, and where they were. Some were dead, some had escaped in their SS uniforms and so on. Very interesting observation in Berlin. That, for me, is the memorial in Berlin that tells the story. Of course, anything which helps to explain the story is good. I am now closely associated with the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. I'm trying to use that, not merely to record history, but to use the lesson of history so that those who died should not have died in vain, that it should become a lesson for us to avoid war making in order to avoid this type of crime. Because I learned also from my defendants in the Einsatzgruppen trial, where I was the chief prosecutor, I selected the defendants on the basis of their rank and their education. No enlisted men in my dock. I had SS generals, and I had many with PhDs. And I learned that otherwise decent human beings become mass murderers in time of war. I'm grateful there is an exhibit. We must never forget what happened. We shouldn't have to forgive what happens in future. We hope that it will be a lesson. And viel Spaß, viel Vergnügen und auf Wiedersehen.